It's the dawning of fall in the Twin Cities as the Sox and Twins begin the final series of 2018. A doubleheader today to make up for the snow from back in April. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and two very good young right-handed pitchers on the mound in game one.
One a little more advanced, that's Jose Barrios. And on our side, Lopez has been phenomenal. Ronaldo has gotten better and better as the year has moved along. Last time he saw these Twins, he absolutely was brilliant. Last time out against the Cubs, he was outstanding, using the high fastball very well. The changeup was good. The slider was even better. And things worked out very well for him. Hopefully more the same here in the Twin Cities. Barrios on the other side of the equation has thrown very well against our boys. He's 6-1 lifetime, and every time we see him, he seems to have his curveball. Every time we see him, he seems to have pinpoint control. And hopefully the boys can get to him today because Barrios trying to go over 500 and finish the year, and this his last start. So there you see against the Twins, Ronaldo was outstanding. 1 hit, no runs. And lifetime against our Sox, Barrios has been even better at 6-1, ERA of about 2.25. So he's throwing the ball well, and hopefully the boys can get to him early.
Barrios' battery mate is a very interesting young man, Willians Astudillo, a catcher who's kind of sweeping the area.
Well, certainly he looks the part of a guy that the fans would really enjoy. Also the fact he's hitting the baseball and hitting it with authority. He's got 3 home runs. Struck out for the first time last night. And this is a guy that's doing just about everything, trying to stake his claim as the #1 catcher of these Twins. And right now, at least for the moment, it looks like he's doing it. Take a look at that in the last 6 games. Hitting everything in sight, 3 doubles. He's driven in 8, scored a couple of runs, slugging percentage up there. And so he's burst on the scene. He's gotten an opportunity, and that's the key. You get an opportunity, you have to make the most of it. You don't know how often they're going to come along.
He had gone nearly 60 plate appearances without a strikeout. Pretty amazing. So Sox and Twins, game #1 of this doubleheader is coming up. And we have more for you on our pregame festivities from Target Field after this.
White Sox baseball is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Test drive a Hyundai today. Xfinity has the largest gig speed network, serving more homes than anyone else. Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all. Wintrust, home of Sox checking and debit cards. Open an account today at wintrust.com/Sox. And by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Audi dealers. Visit AudiOffers.com for exceptional offers on select Audi models.
Back to Chile Target Field. Game 1 of a doubleheader. Game 2 coming up at 7:10 tonight. And Reynaldo Lopez and Jose Barrios, who we told you about, know each other very well, and they know the opposition very well, too.
There is no doubt that when hitters know a pitcher better, they have a better shot at him. And we'll see by the graphic that that really holds true. You can see him the first time and they might have great stuff. By the fourth time around, you've known what he's going to throw. You know what he likes to throw in certain situations. You know every pattern he has, and consequently, almost a run differential. So with Reynaldo facing them for the fourth time, we'll see if they can catch up to him. Sox did not catch up to Barrios when they saw him for the fourth time. This is the fifth time he's going to face him.
Yeah, they are enemies who know each other very well. Lopez and Barrios. Game number 1 of this series, and the countdown begins to the end of the regular season, but still some fun to be had on a sunny day in Minneapolis. Fastest internet and best in-home Wi-Fi experience. Call or visit an Xfinity store today. It is a chilly one here in the 50s at Target Field, and we bring you the White Sox lineup with the chill in the air. Yolmer Sanchez leads it off, then the two Garcias, Polka and Davidson, Narvaez, then Castillo, Anderson, and Engel, your starting 9.
Let's take a look at the defense, and now Paul Molitor is going to put them out there this afternoon in the first game of 2. It's Grossman, Cave, and Kepler in the outfield with Adrianza, Polanco, Petit, and Austin in the infield. Willens, Astudillo behind the plate, and Jose Barrios on the hill. Barrios 6-1 lifetime against our Sox, 3-0 this year against them, so he's seen him a lot. This is the 5th time. Looking for his 12th win. His ERA below 4. He'd like to keep it below that. Opponent's batting average is .225. That's a good one. The whip even better at 1.15. There is the repertoire. The four-seam fastball and the curveball about the same. The sinker right there. So mostly a fastball pitcher, as you would expect, 61% of the time. Their fastball is the sinker and the four-seamer. The changeup negligible at 9%. The umpires behind the plate, Mark Wegner. Jason Biscotti at first, John Lipka at second, and Jim Reynolds is at third. And so we're ready to play baseball in this, the first of a doubleheader. Time for me to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, a man who is always good for 2, Jason Benetti.
Depending on the day. Thank you, Steve. Great to have baseball in our lives still. Just a couple days left to the regular season, then the postseason gets underway. Prospectively at the beginning of the week, we'll find out exactly when with all the tiebreakers in the National League. But the White Sox are with us for 4 more games. And Jose Barrios to Yolmer Sanchez. First pitch buzzes in for a strike. And off we go on a long day of baseball at 1:10 p.m. It's supposed to be a low of 35 tonight in the Twin Cities. So bask in the glory of the sun while we're at it. Ball and a strike from Berrios, who was just outstanding in April. That one game that was played in the series that was mostly snowed out. I don't know, we've seen better stuff than that day from him.
No, he's got outstanding stuff. That curveball that he throws is like everybody else's slider.
This is a fastball for strike 3, and one gone.
Gives you an idea about how feared the curveball is, because Yomer's looking for that breaking ball all the way, and he gets frozen by a fastball that has a good piece of the plate. So Berrios with very good control. First batter he faces, gets him out most of the time, which is a good characteristic for any pitcher.
To your point about what the curveball does to your eyes with the fastball, opponents are only hitting .218 against his four-seam fastball this year.
I would think it would be a lot higher if he didn't have the other stuff. If he didn't have the sinker, if he didn't have that good slider.
Man, there's some life to that thing today at 96 for strike 2.
Yeah, this is a little harder than we've seen him throw, so he's feeling pretty good about this performance. Probably, no, undoubtedly, his last performance of the year, and whatever he's got, he's going to show it to our Sox.
Well, that's not a great recipe for lots of runs today.
No, it's tough enough to get him anytime, but when he's feeling especially good, he appears to be at this point. We'll see if the Sox will just pick on a couple of those fastballs, not wanting to get down to the slider aspect of his wipeout pitch. This is a high fastball.
Got the corner, strike 3. He is just peppering the zone with heaters in the first inning.
He's mostly stayed inside to the left-hand hitters, and he's just throwing fastball after fastball. Astudillo frames it for him, doesn't have to move it. It has the plate. So 2 up, 2 strikeouts. For a Sox team that will strike out a time or two.
Yeah, they may do that for you if you care to have it.
Double figures, probably.
Yeah, well, this year, 1,553 strikeouts. There's a breaking ball. Second most in a season in Major League history, and the Sox look like they're going to have the record that Milwaukee set last year.
Well, they've been hot. I think they can get that.
Check swing and no go. That's a ball and a strike. This is an era where strikeouts don't have the same stigma attached to them nearly, so you're going to have strikeout records probably every season. The Sox have punched out quite a bit this year.
I'm going to make a prediction to you.
What's that?
I hope you remember it.
I plan to. I have my pen so I can write it down.
The next 5 years, this will be the highest strikeout total this year that the Sox will have. It will consistently go down.
For this team, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This White Sox team, this will be their high water mark in strikeouts. It will go down every year from here.
Breaking ball, 2-2. I agree with you, and I think you'll end up being right.
Well, I don't mind strikeouts in situations where you're trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. I mean, you're looking to drive home runs, you're going to strike out because you're swinging a little bit harder. But in situations that crowd for contact, I think the Sox teams going forward are going to be able to do that. I think they're going to do it.
Astudillo sets up for the high fastball. He gets it in the glove, and Berrios strikes out the side in the first. Berrios executes 3 in a row. Bottom 1, no score. The Twins line up here in the bottom of the first. Joe Mauer at the top once again, then Polanco and Cave, Grossman, Austin, and Kepler, Astudillo, Adrianza, and Petit.
Let's take a look at the defense. And now Ricky Renteria is going to put him out there this first of two with Daniel, Adam, and Avasea left to right in the outfield. Diomer, Tim, Liuri, and Matt in the infield with Omar Narvaez getting the nod behind the plate and Ronaldo Lopez on the hill. He's been thrown it as well as just about anybody in the league, looking for his 8th win. His ERA below 4. Opponent's batting average of .235. It's very good with a whip of 126. And last time he saw the Twins in this ballpark, he was brilliant. There is the repertoire. He is a power pitcher. Make no mistake about that. 60% four-seam fastball with the slider and the changeup almost interchangeable.
Guy had a really rough July. The Sox in the middle of July sat him down, asked if he was okay, health-wise and everything, and then talked about the focus issue. And since then, with a couple of blips in August, he has been dynamic.
We're just taking a look at a young man with a great arm who is slowly learning how to pitch. When he does that, the hitters are going to be in big trouble.
On the ground, second base. Garcia whiffs on the throw.
Going to be a base hit for Joe Mauer, who does that well. That is getting a lot of base hits. It's over a 300 hitter lifetime, and he drives this one back up the middle. Liuri has it, but then on the transfer he loses it, and Mauer has a base hit to lead it off.
So 1 on, nobody out for Polanco. Switch hitting shortstop. Number of left-handers in this lineup. 6 will bat left-handed against Lopez, who in his last 5 starts has gone at least 6 innings and given up at most 1 run and 5 hits. That is just the 3rd time in Sox history that's ever happened.
That's pretty amazing when you consider how many great pitchers the Sox have had and how long they've been in existence.
The only other 2 to do it are Joe Horlen and Billy Pierce. So first time in 50 years a Sox pitcher's gone 6 innings, 1 run or fewer, 5 hits or fewer, 5 straight starts.
He's had a remarkable run.
One final start for Lopez this year. As this one's in the air back of home, Castillo has a play. One out for Cave, and the changeup has been a factor against Minnesota in his starts this year. More so early on. They've seen that decline, so you wonder how much he'll mix it in this 4th start.
Well, he threw a good one right there. That's how he got Polanco out. And Polanco has had an amazing run since coming back. This is just his 74th game. So he's played in 73 games, driven in 40 runs. That's a lot of runs driven in for a guy that had such a late start to this season.
Suspended to start the year as Jake Cave stands in. Mauer at first. And a high fastball.
You think Joe retires, Joe Mauer?
I think he's still figuring it out. That's what he said publicly. And the question is, how much do you really want to play? When do you think a player has that hit them? How much they want to be back the following year? Is it right before spring training?
Usually not. But usually they have to let the season and all of the stresses and all of the pressures and all of the injuries, they have to let that dissolve for a bit, because if you're going to make a decision when the season ends, you're making that decision through eyes that have gone through a championship season where you're beaten up some, you're tired, you're in some instances you're nicked up a bit. You're making a decision and you don't have that real sound footing to make that decision. And it is a lifelong decision, because in most areas, guys that are playing now in the major leagues have played this game since they were around 5 years old. So when they take off a uniform, they don't know if they're taking off who they are or what they do. And that is a huge, huge question. If you can figure out the answer, you have a pretty good idea about what you want to do going forward.
The guarantee is, even when you make that choice and you are very centered in your decision that, yes, I do want to retire, talking to players who are done with their careers, just about everyone has a moment that they're going to have to encounter where they say, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I did do it too early, unless you're actually injured and can't do it.
Well, that's the key. If Joe is 100% healthy, if he ends this season and feels pretty good, I think he'd be hard pressed to leave it, except under one circumstance, and that comes into play sometimes.
In the air, right field. Avi back on the ball at the wall, and Cave plunks it off the wall. Mauer to third, Cave to second.
Avi couldn't get to it, and Cave, who's got some pretty big power, puts a charge into it. This one on the outer portion of the plate, and Cave gets it toward the end of the bat, and Avi cannot run it down. One situation that we talked about with Joe Mauer and his decision will be the family life. Sometimes the family gets together as a family. If they make decisions as a family, they'll get together and say, you have been at it a long time. We'd like to have you around for a bit. And then depending on players' personality and what they decide to do, that'll be a big factor in their decisions.
Ball one on Robbie Grossman. Certainly Joe Mauer has been criticized for not being as much of a power hitter as he was when the contract started, but he still is an extremely talented on-base guy who helps build rallies in your lineup.
And a good quality hitter. I mean, that's what he's always going to be, is just a great hitter.
Left field. Daniel Palka into foul territory. It takes a bounce. Ever dream of being a White Sox player?
Sure.
Now's your chance. Attend the Chicago White Sox Fantasy Camp in Glendale, Arizona, January 13th through the 19th, and be treated like a pro. For camp info, call 623-302-5002 or sign up at whitesox.com. Two on, one out, first inning against Lopez. And Ricky Renteria before the game said Reynaldo Lopez needs to make sure that he doesn't put the weight of the world on himself for this last start. He's had a very nice season. We're happy with what he's done. No matter what happens in this start, take that into the offseason.
He's not going to be judged on what happens here today. He's going to be judged on the body of work that has been this year, and it's been very strong.
3-1 to Grossman. Tyler Austin, first baseman, on deck. For Lopez, there were starts. That start in Pittsburgh, you looked and you thought, what's going on here? He didn't have his fastball. He got knocked around before he could complete 2 innings or thereabouts. He finished 2, but barely. And the last month and a half, he has been outstanding. Mauer at third, Cave at second. And there's ball 4. So the bases are loaded for Tyler Austin. Mention how chilly it is here at the ballpark. Most of the field is in sunlight, as you've seen, but there are a number of very brave people, or people who either love winter or want winter to come, sitting on the first base line in the shadows. Get up and move.
Well, you see the caps that are the giveaway today.
Yeah.
That's going to help some folks.
Sure.
The hoodies were not a giveaway today. That's because they have actually lived in Minneapolis for more than a day. So they understand what it gets and how it gets, and as early as it gets that way.
There's a first pitch strike to Austin. In the interest of equal participation now, the sun has gone behind a cloud, so everybody's in shadows. little day baseball on a Friday. Take the kids out of school, maybe make it a long weekend.
This is the makeup. The originally scheduled game is this evening at 7 o'clock.
Check swing grounder. Lopez has it go by him, and Garcia throws to first to get an out. Mauer scores. Cave to third, Grossman to second, and the Twins have the opening lead of this twin bill.
This is probably one that Ronaldo should have had but didn't. It's an excuse me swing. It's to his glove hand. He's got a chance at it. He just misses it. So it goes as a run batted in. That is the 46th for Austin.
One in, two out. Max Kepler. Breaking ball called a little high by Wegner, the plate umpire. 19 home runs, 404 slugging. When we were first talking about the American League Central this year, you asked me who I thought would have a breakout year for the Twins, and I thought it would be Kepler, but his numbers are a little bit lower than what I'd imagined.
What was surprising about his year is he really picked up the ability to hit against left-handed pitchers, and when he did that, it seemed like whatever ability he had to hit the right-handers went away. The object, if you learn how to hit left-handers, if you're a left-hand hitter, is to maintain what you've been doing against the right-hand pitchers. Otherwise, you might wind up hitting 223 like Max.
That one's in for a strike, 2-1. Yeah, it's a wild thing because his average against left-handers his first couple years was not just decent or a little below decent. It wasn't very good at all. And that's changed pretty substantially this year to the detriment of the other stuff. 2-1 with two out. And now 3 balls and a strike.
There is their new hero, Willen Astudillo.
Center field. Adam Engel patrolling for out number 3. So 3 base runners, only 1 run across, and Lopez trails by 1 after 1.
Runs on Duncan.
Couple of 24-year-olds on the mound today, Barrios and Lopez, and the Sox still in search of their first base runner and will continue to be. It looks like Gregorio Petit throws Polka out and one away. Stadium Links is transforming Chicago's own Guaranteed Rate Field into a one-of-a-kind golf experience. For 3 days only, October 5th through the 7th, the home of White Sox baseball will be a 9-hole golf course, offering fans the opportunity to tee up from the outfield concourse and upper deck. To register for a tee time, visit stadiumlinks.com. Get in one last round of golf and do it in a new setting. Roger will have the fairways nice and lush.
Going to be gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. The fairways will be lush. You can't walk on them, but they're going to be lush.
Roger has many dogs trained to bark at you loudly if you step on any of the greenery. That'll be fun. I might even.
Should be good to see how the ballpark is laid out. They did that in Seattle. They did where they laid out the ballpark in a way where you could hit from the upper deck. Made it nice.
How do you think that went when some folks went up to Roger and said, look, just a quick thing?
Yeah, not a problem. Nothing that you should be interested in. But I think after the sedation wore off, I think Roger was fine with it.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Matt. Barrios close but missed. 3-2. Yeah, he's really ramping up that fastball at 96 on an average typically of 93.
He just feels particularly good. We'll see if he is able to maintain it throughout. Probably going to go with the high fastball.
It's pretty well down the middle and into the shift for round number 2. So Gregorio Petit's been busy as the Sox have gotten better in the second half on the road. In fact, in a major way, up to 600 after the All-Star break, the best increase in road record after the break in baseball.
And you can tell normally when you do that, you're in the running. Now the Rays picked a year where the first 2 teams in the division were otherworldly, so they weren't really in the race. But the Brewers, the Indians, and the Braves obviously are. And our Sox with a wonderful road campaign after the All-Star break. Not going to be in it, but that bodes well for going forward.
Twins have had a really rough season on the road overall. 29-52 away from here at Target Field. And normally home road splits don't carry a lot of weight of, well, why'd you do that here? Coors Field is one thing, but that is just an odd change in ability so significantly for a team that played very well at home. Off the fists, and Polanco. 1-2-3 inning for Jose Barrios, who has ugly looking stuff today.
Nationwide's Jeff Vukovich. Go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media because Nationwide is on your side.
Of course they are. They always are.
They always are.
It's nice to have him in our corner. Astudillo left field. Polka back at the warning track, and Daniel reaches up to pull it in.
The folk hero was just a little short as he's becoming a crowd favorite. Almost took that one out of the ballpark. Daniel went back just about as far back as he could, had a couple of feet to spare, and was able to make the catch. So he's looking to see where he is. He crosses over onto the warning track and goes up and gets it. Nice play.
I would venture to say that's a play he doesn't make about 2 months ago.
No doubt about it. He's worked pretty hard at trying to get better at what he does to be able to get more playing time. So he's not thought of as only a designated hitter.
He mentioned the other day that one of his major goals for this offseason is just quick turning ability, agility in the outfield, and footwork. So that's what his mind is moving toward right now, is being a better outfielder. With Astudillo, though, you are not going to see ball 3 or strike 2 very much. He had 286 at-bats in AAA with Rochester. He walked 10 times and struck out 14 times.
Well, outside of the few strikeouts, he was in Salvi Perez territory with the walks.
I mean, he just makes contact. He swings early, he makes contact, and he's not going to get you a walk or a strikeout. He's a very interesting guy that has made himself, as you said, into a folk hero in the Twin Cities. 2-2 for Adrianza, who's on an 8-game hit streak as he stands in.
He's another one of those guys. Not quite Ryan Rayburn-ish yet, but he saves his best for our Sox. And last time we saw him in a full series, he hit the ball with authority, not just little opposite field singles.
Two-two. And it's now 3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, with Victor Martinez leading the American League Central, we need a new nemesis.
Victor apparently is not going to play this weekend.
Yeah, he's done.
Which I'm sure make the folks in part of the city of Chicago very unhappy.
What with the Brewers in town? There's strike 3. Lopez guns down Adrianza, and 2 away. Your 2018 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate, your home team throughout the season and the official mortgage provider of the Chicago White Sox. Get started today at rate.com. That is a 1-game lead for the Cubs in the National League Central over Milwaukee. Tigers playing the Brewers, Cubs and Cardinals today. It's also a 1-game lead in the NL West for the Rockies on top of the Dodgers. There is a possibility of enough of a tiebreak scenario that you end up with a couple games on Monday, another tiebreaker to determine the wild card on Tuesday, and then a pushed back National League wild card to Wednesday with all of the possible gridlock.
The Cubs seem to be taking care, or trying to take care of part of the gridlock. They lead St. Louis 2-0. Only 1 out in the first inning. Wainwright having some problems.
Reynaldo Lopez reacts well to the 1-run first inning, a 1-2-3 second.
to 97999, and a 300th texter is going to win a $30 gift card. Subway, so much sandwich.
Wellington Castillo for ball number 1. Sox are still in search of that first base runner. Castillo's having a good laugh with somebody back there as he takes a strike. Jose Barrios, 6 batters in, 3 strikeouts, 3 ground balls.
And electric stuff to this point.
Flirting with the corners for most of the afternoon so far. Two and 2 on Castillo, who missed 80 games this year with the suspension that started in May. He's come back and taken over as the lead catcher for the most part. And there's the first base runner, Castillo, through the right-hand side.
By the 5th pitch of the at-bat, Barrios had stayed away with everything. I mean, that was the time to go with anything but a fastball away. I mean, you've had a guy now locked into one part of the plate, 4 straight pitches, so you go there a 5th. You can't be surprised when he takes it through the right side for a base hit. So you're going to change your pitches, but you also occasionally have to change location, or you get a guy looking in the same area.
It's Tim Anderson. What do you think's tougher for a hitter? Vertical change in eye placement and visual path, or horizontal change?
Vertical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they can adjust horizontally. I think vertically is tough. If you see it down, 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 all of a sudden face high, then you've got some problems. Which is why we're seeing so many of the wipeout pitches be high fastballs, because you're throwing a lot of sliders, you're throwing fastballs, you're trying to nip the corners early in the count. Maybe a guy fouls it off. Then you go to the face high fastball. If he's seen everything down, he can't adjust to it. By the time he sees it, it's by him.
Anderson to third, could be 2. Petit had to reach, and they will get the out on the transfers. So 5-4, and that's it. Here's Adam Engel, who's turned up the offense in the past month plus.
Oh, he's starting to look pretty good.
First pitch, ball 1. You got Tim Anderson over at first, the Sox first ever 20 home run, 20 stolen base shortstop. Adam braces and takes a strike on a fastball. Engel's got a hit in 7 of 9, couple of 2-hit games as well over that time period. So you see the numbers steadily increasing, and you talk to him about hitting. He feels like he's getting to the point where he's doing more advanced things, thinking about the opposing pitcher at the plate. At some point when you first come to the big leagues, you're just guessing.
Well, I think he's figured out how to put the bat on the ball consistently second half of the year. I mean, the numbers are startling, and we said all along if he can hit in the 250s, he'd be a tremendous asset.
What a boomerang for Astudillo. They're going to put that look on a poster as he barehanded and scanned with Some vicious eyes.
Well, it's coming off the limestone, and you have to catch a break. If the ball gets by you, sometimes it comes right back to you right off the limestone. That's exactly what happened. Comes right back, and he's ready to throw. Anderson sees the ball get by and says, well, I better get back.
Astudillo looks like a new version of the catcher from The Sandlot.
Yeah, looks a little like that. Now I think you'll see Tim running, especially if Barrios decides to use the high leg kick. This is an outside fastball. Let's see if he goes to the slide step or not.
Tim doesn't run. Popped up left side. Polanco for out number 2. So Yolmer will bat.
That fastball right in on his hands, and Barrios, when he doesn't use a slide step, is not difficult to run against because he has a high leg kick. That'll give a base runner a good 2 steps.
How tough is it, and I assume it varies pitcher to pitcher, but how tough was it for you to go to that slide step and change your mechanics with a runner on?
I would work on it in the bullpen a lot, so it wasn't all that tough. It's the guys that don't devote a whole lot of time when they throw on the sidelines or whatever. You have to be able to devote enough time to it so that the stuff remains the same. And you can ask your catcher, or sometimes if you want to know velocity, you can check the guns, the radar guns, to see if you can get the same velocity or the same stuff from a slide step as you can from the delivery. When you get to the point where you've done it many, many times, then you can maintain the same stuff.
Ball 1 to Yolmer, who struck out in a 3-strikeout first for Jose Barrios. Ball and a strike on Sanchez, who's been worth about 2 wins according to wins above replacement by Fangraphs. 1.9 his WAR this year. Ball and 2 strikes. His celebration WAR is number 1 in the league. However,
he's very good at celebrating. I think he'd been planning the Chuck Garfien, get him with as much ice as you possibly can bucket.
Sanchez, right field side, a base hit. Anderson motors on to third, and the Sox have first and third on 2 hits here in the 3rd inning.
It looked like a breaking ball. He tried to get it in on his hands, didn't get it in quite far enough, and Yolmer takes it into right field. So runners at the corners, but there are 2 outs.
It's Leury Garcia. Who's been dinged up for a good chunk of this year, but when he's been around, he's hit the ball hard. Fouled away, strike 1. Sox and Twins will play game 2 at 7:10, unless this game lasts 6 hours. That sound you heard was all of the eyes in our truck rolling. I'm told actually that I was wrong. It was all the mouths in the truck hitting the floor.
Yeah, if this one went 6 hours, there would be nobody in the truck for game 2. It would say, thank you, I'm retiring now.
It'd be like the other night, but we actually would be calling the cameras.
That's it.
And none of them would change because there'd be no camera operators. Two strikes on Garcia. Sanchez at first, Anderson at third. Another foul ball and one hard hit. Jose Barrios, his very first All-Star nod this year. Has been willing to step off with runners on. Leori Garcia, who's played 6 separate positions this year for the Sox in a starting role. He thought he had struck out.
Might have had just a piece of the plate, but most of the ball was down. Barrios is thrown over to first base. Coming into play today 110 times. That's 3rd in all of baseball for starting pitchers. So he doesn't mind going over there, and will go over there quite a bit.
1-2. Just missed with a fastball. 2-2. Two out, 2-2. Second base, well struck. Petit can't get the out. Anderson scores. Garcia breaking down the line, got there, and we're tied at 1.
It's going to be a base hit, you would expect, and for Leary, 32nd driven in. Petit makes a nice play to his right, but doesn't have a very strong arm and can't get it across and keep it in the air. That part of it's good. That part, not that good. Well wide of the bag, and Austin cannot secure the baseball.
Got a helmets and balls to dodge, and everybody was safe. So Avi, 2 on, 2 out in a tie game, takes a strike. Throw to second is not in time. Yolmer back. We've gone into long sleeve mode pretty quickly. Some are left in a hurry.
It did that. But when there is, and blowing out fairly briskly, blowing toward the right field line.
To third, Adrianza. Sox do get a run and tie it up. Leori Garcia, an infield single, and the Sox touch Barrios. Birmingham Barons in Double-A, second most home runs in the Southern League this year to the Biloxi Shuckers, the Double-A Brewers. And that is our GMC Sox Farm Report. Matt Rose had 16 of them for the Double-A White Sox farm team. As we're tied at 1 here in the bottom of the third. Not a whole lot of innings remaining in our baseball season. We say farewell this weekend. It's like the end of summer camp.
Well, you look back and you figure out how you got to where you wound up, and then think ahead about what moves are going to be made this winter. There's going to be a few, certainly, and the team is going to look vastly different coming into spring training next year.
Well, that number 40 on the hill is one of the holdovers, guaranteed, barring any sort of injury in the offseason. But Ricky Renteria has already been looking ahead to exactly how to plot out spring training, what sorts of things he needs to do to ingrain even more so his way and the White Sox way. As Mauer has himself another hit. He's 2 for 2.
Joe's able to do what he usually does, an inside out swing, takes it into left center field. If there is one typically Joe Mauer hit, that was it.
And times on base against the White Sox career. If you feel like he's always on base, it's because he is. More than any other Twin.
Might have a chance to extend that lead.
Do you think maybe?
I think maybe a chance, yeah.
He just had his 600th extra base hit last night. He's one of 4 Minnesota Twins all time with 600 extra base hits. Marvin Killebrew, Kirby Puckett, and Kent Hrbek. See the wall of retired jersey numbers. Kent Hrbek's got his own place here, his own restaurant. Always used to enjoy the PA announcer at the Metrodome announcing Kent Hrbek's name. Can hear that gritty, kind of smoky sound in my ear whenever I hear Kent Hrbek.
Well, they were tough to beat in those days at that ballpark with the artificial surface, the bad visibility. There's Herbie.
Bob Casey, of course, the longtime PA announcer at the Metrodome. Used to sit right behind home plate.
Good thing about that is nobody can get by you.
That's true.
When they're coming to the plate, you got them.
Mauer at first, Polanco the batter. At a 1-1 score. I shudder to even bring this up because last time I mentioned the aroma in a ballpark. We were at Comerica Park and you couldn't smell at all the cinnamon covered nuts that I was talking about.
I can smell them now, though.
I smell like Chinese food.
Really?
Like sweet and sour sauce wafting through the ballpark.
You should have that checked out in the off season. Go in to get a workup of your nasal area. Find out why these disembodied smells are suddenly cropping up in the various booths around town.
You do know what you're doing, right? That people are going to tweet at me in like December and say, did you get that nasal check done yet?
Well, you need that because, you know, then you'll stop smelling the various places wherever it is that you're smelling them, and everything will work out well for you. Then again, maybe not.
I'm done with you. 3-2 on Polanco. Mauer at first, nobody out, third inning. Mauer runs, strike 3, throw to second is there, and Mauer's out. Strike him out, throw him out, double play.
So he throws a high fastball by him. And a quick throw by Castillo. He guns him down, barely nipping Maurer at second base. The tag, John Lipka on the call. And I think they want to take another look at it in the dugout to see if indeed he did tag him, and I think he did.
I thought so, definitely real time, and then on the first replay, I wasn't so certain on the second one. But my opinion matters actually zero.
We'll take a look.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely close enough.
He got him.
It was in the same infield.
It's the neighborhood play. You can't get it stepping on the bag anymore, but you can have the neighborhood play on a tag. One strike on Cave, who doubled to right in the first.
When I took a look at it, might have been a couple of weeks ago, he had the longest home runs. The average home run, he had the longest average home run hit of anybody in baseball, I believe.
I saw that as well. I'm not sure where he stands.
I mean, it was surprising to me as far as Giancarlo Stanton hits him. But Cave had it by a few feet last time I looked.
Stanton, it's pretty well established, hits him harder than anybody, so nobody's going to track him down for that, although Daniel Palka's making quite a run in terms of 110-mile-an-hour home runs. We'll get our research team on that. You may hear them typing away, hypothetically underneath one of our microphones.
Some of our best people are on it.
Three balls, two strikes. Two out. Called strike three. Fastball at 97. Sox get the neighborhood play twice in the inning. Twins fans, you see on the shirt there. We had a research staff report. They wrote a white paper in the break. And when you take a look at the average home run distance for anybody with at least 12 home runs, at least 10 even, Jake Cave is tied for second in baseball. Trevor Story is first with 33 of them on an average of 421. Then Cave is tied with Carlos Gonzalez at 419. there you have it.
Story just hit one 471 yesterday.
That helped.
So that probably put him on top.
You think maybe?
Yep.
How about the Rockies? It is just baffling how they're doing what they're doing. Certainly the pitching's been great, but their run differential for so long was negative or right around 0. Right now, after winning 7 straight, their run differential has climbed to plus 33.
Here's the amazing thing this year, and this isn't always the case. At home, 45 and 33. On the road, 44 and 37. So they're very similar. Normally they dominate at home and don't do well on the road, but that has not been the case this year.
It's because they have bona fide pitchers now.
Yeah, they do that. They get a good young starting rotation.
People just assume, we've been trained to think that the Rockies bash the ball. And the pitchers have been outstanding. As there's ball 4. First walk for Barrios today. It's a leadoff walk to Polka. Dodgers, on the other hand, are a game behind the Rockies, and their run differential is by far the best in the National League at plus 170. But you win close games, it'll take you a long way in baseball, and the Rockies have done that. And when they lose, they get it all out of their system. They lose by like 100.
Of course, the Dodgers have a rooting interest in that St. Louis game today with the Cubs. Dodgers have a 1-game lead over the Cardinals for the second wild card spot.
Cubs have the best record in the National League. Brewers are second, a game back. One of them will be the wild card. One of them will be the 1 seed in the National League. 2 strikes on Matt. And there's strike 3. 4th punch out for Barrios.
4th punch out, but first since the first 1-2-3 strikeout first inning.
One on, one out for Omar. I was looking at the National League East before we went on air, about an hour and a half before. When you look at the standings every day, you just start to assume that teams are in the same shape that they were before. But the Nationals have very easily vaulted Philadelphia, and there is a chance, small chance, but a chance that the Phillies and Mets end up with the same record this year. Phillies were challenging for a playoff spot, and the Mets were in doldrum territory for most of the year. Two and 0 to Omar. There's ball 3, and Barrios has lost control of his stuff. Green light?
No.
You're right. That was for all the marbles. You didn't know it, but
that was it. That was the championship.
Yeah, it was a bonus round. Your new car will be awaiting your arrival at home in Arizona.
Oh, good.
3-1. That's ball 4. So Omar takes the second walk of the inning. And Castillo will bat. Here's your first half of Sox Math for today's game. Hashtag Sox Math. It's brought to you by the fine folks at Audi. Number of games scheduled today, plus the number of games in this series. Keep that number, and in game number 2, you will apply it to the remainder of the question. It's brought to you by your local Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Audi dealers. Visit AudiOffers.com for exceptional deals.
I'm glad that that was a continuation question, because otherwise, I mean, yeah, I thought pretty much Rain Man was the only contestant today.
You want to live with Charlie Babbitt? Two on, one out, Castillo. And there's ball number 1.
In the meantime, Barrios has pretty much lost command of the strike zone entirely, walking 2 of the 3 he's faced this inning and walking himself into a jam.
Dear pitcher, how does that happen?
Boy, it's hard to figure out how you have pinpoint control and seemingly then just go out and lose it.
He looked like he was going to be impenetrable today.
Still could be, but when you get shots at him, you have to take advantage of those shots because you're not going to get that many.
Like right here.
Yep, this is a perfect chance. They had 3 hits and only 1 run last inning, but a chance to break through here.
That breaks outside, 2-1. Polka at second, Narvaez at first. Both on walks. 2-1. In the air, short center. Cave froze at first, and now he rushes in to make the catch for round number 2.
There was a chance for some makeup speed there because he broke poorly, but the ball was up long enough for him to come and get it.
Two out, 2 on. Tim Anderson, who grounded the ball to third his first time. Tim's pretty active on social media. Once every, I would say, 3 days, he'll ask me if I can get him more Instagram followers.
Can you?
No, not even on Instagram.
So then why does he ask you?
Tim is, because he thinks that we have some sort of power to say something like, hey, you should follow Tim Anderson on Instagram.
Do you know that? Does he know you're not allowed to do that?
Can't do it.
Yeah, just tell him you can't do it.
Would never say something like follow Tim Anderson on Instagram.
Would be in poor taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank
and not
you.
legal also.
It's true.
Yeah.
Unless buried in the middle of a bit.
You snuck it in under the radar. Very crafty of you.
Yeah. Somehow, folks, you'd never be able to tell, but that wasn't pre-planned. Tim checks his swing on a ball low. He doesn't go, so he stays alive with 2 on and 2 out. And on Twitter, Tim Anderson also resides. Here's his note to Sox fans, Southside fans, after the final home game. Couple of hearts, and he is a Chicagoan now, living in the suburbs with his family. Back to the mound, Barrios. He will take it with him, and the inning comes to an end. Bottom 4 next.
Sponsored by UI Health, providing expert care for you and your family. UI Health, changing medicine for good. Learn more at uihealth.care.
Sox fans traveling here to the Twin Cities for the final series of the year. Great to have you along wherever you might be. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti, our entire crew. On an icy day in Minneapolis. It's amazing what 10 degrees will do.
Well, tonight, the low is down in the 35 or 36 range. So it's decent now, but going to get a little chillier.
Where do you stand on warm drinks? What's your warm drink platform?
Early morning coffee, end of story.
Nothing else?
No.
Hot apple cider?
Nope.
Hot tea?
Nope.
Hot cocoa?
No mull either.
You don't even want to mull it over?
Not even Martin mull. None.
That was another edition of one-man volleyball whereby Steve sets up his own joke. The one-man volleyball championships will be televised all year.
That's what we can do next year. That's one of the things.
The one-man volleyball segment?
One-man volleyball games.
I think we may have had that segment already. Grossman to right field, and leadoff base runners galore for the Twins today. That's 3 out of 4 innings. So this is the first time we were here in Minneapolis this year. The tarp went on, nighttime hit, then the snow started to pile up.
And the snow never stopped, by the way.
No.
It just kept on snowing. Just when we thought it was safe to come out of the hotel, it wasn't. And we didn't.
See, that was the thing that you did that was real smart. You didn't go out of the hotel. I did.
Well, I went across the street to my favorite Brazilian steakhouse. And the snow was over my ankles, and it was really nice and all that. But, yeah, so that was it. And fortunately, that was very close to the hotel.
One of those days, I ended up walking like 5-6 blocks to an Italian restaurant. And
well, you have chicken parm every meal, so it's close, to that.
That's only partially true.
Mostly.
Got to the restaurant, and I looked like I had gray hair. There was so much snow on my head, you couldn't even see my hair.
How do you think we feel every day? Those of us with gray hair.
I don't know how you do it. It was amazing.
It was quite a 4-game series, with 1 being played and 3 being finally made up today.
Yeah, we had the one day here back in August.
Yep.
Another doubleheader, and this is the second doubleheader. As Austin takes a big rip, 2-1. Reynaldo Lopez at 96 on the fastball. Two and one for Austin. Third year in the majors for Austin, 51 games the last 2 seasons. 34 with the Yankees this year, 32 with the Twins. Out of Heritage High School in Conyers, Georgia. Foul ball toward the press box, and one of the writers made a great catch. I don't think it was Dan Hayes.
No, it was not.
He's too busy
Unless
making
he's
turtle jokes.
Carefully disguised as another reporter. It was a good catch, though.
Great catch.
Yep.
I thought I was going to end up in Dick and Bert's booth to our right and hit him right in the Zubas.
Well, close. Those are really fine looking Zubas.
So evidently it's Zuba Day.
Yeah, it is.
Or Zuba's Day at our booth to our right, because the Twins announcers are wearing Twins zebra pants, or were at least before the game. I don't know if they still are.
They did for the open on camera.
It's a good look.
A lot of guys can't pull that off. There are 2 of them.
Grossman at first, doesn't run, and there's a ground ball foul at third. So Daryl Boston, a couple of days ago, Sox first base coach, had trouble with a ball that was into his territory down the first base line. Bobbled it, then got another chance. And you remember when he made the catch on the second one, he kind of pointed over toward the dugout.
Yeah, it was a redeemer.
Well, I found out he wasn't actually pointing at the dugout as we thought. He was pointing at us.
Wow.
Because
I know he found he came up to me and said we made fun of him when he missed it. I said, well, we anticipate you make most of those plays. When you didn't, we were both terribly disappointed.
We have to get our stories straight, because as Avi is underneath this one, he said the same thing to me, and I said, yeah, we did. We did make fun of you.
Oh, I did that too.
Okay.
But I rationalized it by saying we anticipate you were going to make the play. But I said we gave you certainly a lot of credit when you finally did make that other fairly routine play.
Yeah. So that point was actually for us, because people came from the clubhouse and said, hey, Debo, those guys are killing you up there. One on, one out for Kepler, who flied out to center his first time. Game 1 of 2, Twin Bill today. Last 3 doubleheaders the Twins have played in have been against the Sox. A couple of those now this season, after the great blizzard of 2018. Third base side, Sanchez, a long way to go. He is underneath to make the catch. So 2 down as Sanchez makes the grab. And White Sox fans, Sox Fest 2019 hotel packages are now available. It's the only way to get passes for a weekend of White Sox baseball that you won't want to miss. We hope to see you at the Hilton Chicago on January 25th through January 27th. Hotel packages available now, right now at whitesox.com/SoxFest. Two out for Astudillo, who takes ball number 1. They call him La Tortuga. That means the turtle, for fairly obvious reasons.
What are they?
I'll tell you during the break.
Interesting way to hold the bat, however. And it goes into the category of whatever works. If you believe it's going to work, you can pretty much set up the bat wherever you want to, as long as it drops into the hitting position as the ball is coming to you. So he can put his hands or the bat anywhere he wants to, but he's going to drop them into the slot, into the hitter's position, as Lopez gets ready to deliver the ball.
2-0. There's a strike, 2-1. Astudillo has said, look, so many coaches have tried to get me to change. I'm not gonna. I'm a free swinger. That's what I do. And, you know, he was right. It got him to the major leagues.
I was going to say, whatever's working, you just go with. Until, look, if he's going to go 0 for 40, then baseball would be telling him you better make an adjustment. But he's not at that point. So keep on going, doing what you're doing.
Two balls and 2 strikes, so the rare deep count to Astudillo. 2-2, 2 out. Grossman at first. Lopez on 2-2. Nearly hit him. Throw into second base. If it was on target, they would have had him. Grossman slides in safely.
Charging a wild pitch to Lopez. We'll take another look. He was sitting up low and away. That one was inside belt high, and he could not get to it in time. Fortunately, this ball hits Grossman and doesn't kick farther into center field because he's on the way to third base if it does.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Lopez to Astudillo. Ball 4.
So Castillo out to the mound, joined by Sanchez and Davidson, and Garcia and Anderson.
For Astudillo, that's just his second major league walk. 85 at bats, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. What a fun, unique player.
You're going to get a lot of fans like you as long as you're hitting 357 like he was hitting coming into this one.
He's slugging .524. His OPS is like 900.
No, he's really had a really successful introduction to the major leagues.
2 on, 2 out. Adrianza, the batter. Twins got a run in the first. The Sox matched it in the third. And as the shadows creep in, there's a strike.
Visibility not great right now. But Ronaldo not throwing many spinning pitches, not too many sliders, and because of that, not able to take advantage of poor visibility quite as much as maybe Barrios will be able to take advantage of it with his curveball.
Garcia has the third out. 2 left on for Minnesota in the fourth. We're tied at 1 into the fifth. right field. Join the C.J. Wilson Mazda Pride crew and the Zoom Zoom Nation and experience a White Sox game day at a whole new level. Apply now at whitesox.com/Pride Crew. Oh, a North Stars jersey. Who needs the Mike Modano Dallas Stars when you can have a North Stars sweatshirt there? Adam Engel, first pitch strike. So we were in Baltimore about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now.
Yes.
And we had a discussion about a guy wearing a jersey shirt. You remember that?
Sure.
Say yes. Say yes. We did.
Absolutely.
So we were discussing what your stance is on jerseys.
I'm pro.
You're pro jersey. Yeah. I kind of said, well, if you have a jersey, wear the jersey. So I'm walking down the street yesterday to eventually get to the car to drive to the airport to fly with the team. And this guy comes across the street and says, Jason, do you have a second? I said, sure. And as Engel strikes out, Astudillo to first to get the out. I said, sure. And he says, hey, remember you were talking about the jerseys in Baltimore? I said, yeah. He goes, I was the guy wearing the jersey. And I thought, what did I say? Where is this going to go? Thankfully, it was a busy time of day, so people were walking by, and if he decided to slug me, it wasn't going to be a major issue in terms of witnesses and everything. But he was, he had some new information. He actually has a collection of jerseys at home, and he decided that day that he wanted to wear the jersey for the difference. So he doesn't just have a closet full of jerseys, he does have jerseys as well.
Really?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, good.
That's Steve feigning interest again.
No, that's good. Really. Closet full of those, does he, huh?
Now you're just saying key words that you picked out as you were glazed over.
Wow, a whole closet, huh? Ooh, that's amazing.
Long story short, he appreciated you being on his side.
Pro jersey.
Pro jersey.
Yeah. Well, it's the least I could do for him.
There is strike three. I like when you pick out words and phrases and try and formulate an opinion based on half of what I said.
No, I was listening to, I was raptly listening to all of that. Yeah. What's the odds, though? A random guy in Baltimore.
Yeah. Shows up on the street.
There you go.
Two out for Garcia. Left field and foul. Six strikeouts, 2 walks for Barrios today. And this ground ball to Austin at first. He takes it himself and retires the side. First 1-2-3 inning for Barrios since the second inning. We're tied at 1. Jorge Polanco against Reynaldo Lopez. 24 years old. Lopez in his first full major league season in his final start. Same goes for Lucas Giolito tonight in his final start of 2018. As the Sox look ahead to what that starting rotation might seem like when we open camp in 2019.
This is the kind of game we expected from Lopez and Barrios, and that's what we've gotten. An excellent pitchers duel in this one.
First base side, Davidson can't get there, and it's foul.
That one cannot find. Ronaldo thrown it very well, not finding too many of the bats in the early going. Giving up just the 3 hits. Four hits, excuse me, with Mauer getting 2 of them.
Foul right hand side, 2 strikes. So you got Lopez and Giolito. Carlos Rodon part of that starting rotation as well, you'd assume, moving forward, and the expectation was going to be Michael Kopech until the injury popped up. So the Sox will have 2 spots in that rotation to vie for, all other things equal. Avi toward the corner and right is there to make the catch. We're out number 1, and we talked about Adam Engel offensively. Defensively, we know what the Sox have in him in the future. Here's his directional outs above average, and he is the best player in baseball moving backward on the ball. You see to his back and left and straight behind, 11 outs above average, and then 3 back into the right as we see it. So look, that's one way of telling you that Adam Engel is a premier center fielder. And as we've talked about with the starting pitchers, it's about refining portions of the game, and for Adam, it's the offense.
Yeah, when you become an elite center fielder, that's when you can go back very well on balls, because most center fielders would just as soon play deep because they can come in much better than they can go out.
Left field, Daniel Polka doesn't have a play.
So when you get to the point where you're feeling very comfortable with your ability in chasing down the ball over your head, whether it's straight over your head or to the left or right, if you can do that, you can afford to play a little more shallow. If you can do that, you can take away base hits instead of playing deep and watching a whole lot of them drop in front of you. So you can tell by as shallow as Adam Engel will play normally, as well as he goes back, that he is one of the elite center fielders in all of baseball.
It's really interesting hearing Adam talk about why he plays where he does in center field. Part of it is based on the numbers and based on advice from the Sox front office. Avi in right center had him played perfectly, so Mauer is out and 2 down. Part of it's also based on the starting pitcher, and you like to hear that. I know you do as a pitcher. You like to hear that from an outfielder, paying attention to what his pitcher throws and how the ball is going to make contact with the bat.
Well, the perfect example was the last ball hit with Joe Mauer, because the defense was swung around to left center field with Engel in left center and Polka over toward the line. But Avi is in right center field. I mean, that's a 2-base hit just about with any other hitter in the game except for Mauer, because everybody swings around, and Avi takes away the gap, gives him the whole line in right field. But in case he does go to the gap, which he just did, he takes a 2-base hit away. That's defensive charts and the propensity of pitchers to throw the ball where they want to throw it.
It's also seeing Joe Mauer a lot, like the Sox do, and you've talked about it before. The information that teams have is basically the same, like 90% of it is the same. But then you see, as we travel around the league, we see teams playing different hitters on the Sox differently. And so that's where the eye test comes in, and teams decide based on their data where they're going to play certain people. Called strike 3. Lopez in a 1-2-3 fifth matches Jose Barrios step for step, 1-1 after 5. We have a true pitchers duel right now. 1-1. Barrios versus Lopez into the 6th inning. It'll be Garcia, Polka, and Davidson coming up as those shadows are more pronounced now. And you would imagine it would be treacherous going for at least a couple innings here.
You can certainly see a fastball, but it's going to be very difficult to track, especially the curveball of Barrios or the occasional slider by Lopez, although he's not throwing all that many of them today.
Breaking ball away, 2-0.
There he is, Castillo and Lopez.
Talking over future at bats, previous at bats.
We'll be talking over the visibility now, as opposed to, I mean, what it was or what it's going to be. This is where you want to work as quickly as possible, get as many innings in with this kind of visibility as you can.
How much would you adjust what you were throwing based on the visibility?
Well, I think right here you're trying to work as quickly as you possibly can. I mean, you can throw whatever pitches you want. Sometimes if you fall behind on the breaking ball, which Barrios did, he had to go the fastball. Now he's missed with 3 of them and he loses them. So he was trying to get it over. He was trying to take advantage of the visibility, but he couldn't throw a strike. As you can see, that is not real good as far as seeing the rotation of a baseball, because the pitcher and everybody else in the outfield immersed in the shadows. Pitcher immersed in the sunshine, hitter immersed in the shadows.
You can tell by his pace, Barrios is aware of the time lapse.
He'd like to work as quickly as possible.
Barrios right now 23rd on the all-time wins list for pitchers born in Puerto Rico. 28 of them, but you figure by the time he's done in his major league career, he could easily pass Javier Vasquez, who's #1 with 165 of them.
With his stuff, yeah, it's good enough.
Bunch of former Sox at the top of that list. It's Javier Vasquez #1, Juan Pizarro is 2, Jamie Navarro and Joel Pinheiro, the 4 Puerto Rican-born pitchers with more than 100 wins. Breaking ball snapped over for strike 3. With the shadows, you got no shot there.
Nope, he gave up on it, which you would expect because you can't really see the spin of the ball, and then it snaps over the outside corner, giving you 0 shot. You can see the late break. It's there. The only question is, was it down? Astudillo caught it nicely, framed it, and caught the call.
7th strikeout for Barrios. He's got 3 walks as well.
I think he got to 200 strikeouts.
That was number 200 right there.
That's pretty impressive. 200 strikeouts, 60 walks now. 60 walks, 200 strikeouts. Pretty impressive.
Just debuted a couple years ago in April. 71st career start. And now it seems as though he's got a feel again for the secondary stuff for the moment.
Yeah, that's not good for the hitters right there.
0-2, what's your selection?
Well, I'd throw the breaking ball, but he might want to thread the outside corner with a fastball.
He does. Strike 3. It was up. Punch out number 8 for Barrios, whose confidence increases with every pitch again.
He just reaches back. Here's the fastball. See what you can do with it. And the answer is not much that at bat.
You said it earlier. Barrios against the Sox this year has been outstanding. He is one of the top 6 ERAs against the Sox, minimum 3 starts.
It's really nice to see the entire Cleveland staff in there. I wonder how'd we do against them, by the way?
Yeah,
judging by that graphic, not well.
Careful on that limb while you're out there, but that's scary.
Yeah, usually if you see 4 guys with the fourth lowest ERA against you, you're not going to have a successful year.
Two strikes on Narvaez. So Barrios, after the walk to Avi Garcia, has found his footing, and that is bad news for the Sox.
The best thing you can say is he's at the 93 pitch mark, which means that with all these strikeouts, he's going to get well above where they want him probably next inning. Unless Omar can take one deep here. Probably not.
Strike 3 upstairs. Yeah, you're right. Nailed it, Stoney. Bottom 6, tied at 1. They're celebrating the many ways Latinos put an accent on baseball. Share how you put an accent on the game with hashtag Ponle Acento.
This is a guy you really worry about. You got to be careful of a fastball. The visibility is not as good as it's going to be in about the next 5 minutes or so.
First pitch is strike one, and he went away from the fastball, wondering if Castillo and Lopez talked about that on the bench.
I would hope so, and that was a good breaking ball first pitch. Castillo wanted it again. Lopez shook it off.
Jake Cave, the rookie, out of Kickotan High School in the Hampton Roads area in Virginia. Or 6th round pick of the Yankees. One, two. High fastball. Lopez had some strong success early in this run of 5 straight good starts, going away from the fastball at times, mixing in the other pitches more than he did earlier in the year. And you feel like that stuff will come.
Yeah, I think as he moves along, that's going to get better and better. And with it, he'll strike out more and more guys because his fastball is good enough to throw it by him if he sets it up with a breaking ball. But you'll get plenty of outs with the fastball, not quite as many strikeouts if you don't vary the speeds.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Fastball again, 3-2. Robbie Grossman next. Three-two.
Able to stay alive on that high fastball that Ronaldo threw as a wipeout pitch.
Well, he looks determined to do it on the fastball here. We'll see on 3-2. He missed outside, leadoff walk. Time to quiz Steve on his own career. It's brought to you by Volkswagen Sticks and Stone. Visit your local Volkswagen dealer or VWdealer.com. Which twin drove in 3 in your 55th? Will you just read it? I'm evidently illiterate.
In my 50th victory in 1980. 50th or 15th? 15th. In my 15th victory in 1980. One of those guys had 3 runs batted in. And I'll say, well, easiest thing is to say Roy Smalley because he's the only left-hand hitter on there. It was Clams Castino and Ron Jackson. I'll say Clams.
Okay. Always a safe choice. Ball 1 to Grossman. And Lopez has Castillo coming out to talk to him. The fastball has gone away from Ronaldo recently. Mark Wegner looks back to the press box area to point out that that indeed is a trip to the mound. Take one off the Sox ledger. We've not seen major panic for lack of mound visits this year. Remember all the hand wringing about our beautiful game and how much we were going to lose the no time constraint portion of baseball because we're limiting mound visits and pitchers and catchers need them.
Yeah, that didn't that didn't come to be.
We've completely forgotten about that, and that's a good sign for possible future changes, like maybe limiting batter timeouts.
Well, the umpires probably are the ones who can speed up the baseball game.
Yep.
By telling pitchers to pitch and telling hitters to get in the box. If they do that, they can move the game along.
If you watch old games, even within the past 20 years or so, that's the biggest difference you will see in the game, is the amount of time somebody will step out or a pitcher will step off. That's changed pretty substantially in the past few decades.
That's different, and also you won't see the starting pitcher out there near as long. I mean, that's just, there's so many more changes these days. That's just the way it goes.
2-1 on Grossman. Cave at first. Lopez missing arm side quite a bit this inning.
Paul Molitor, who was very aggressive, and he's got a guy at first base in Cave that's not overly fast. 2 out of 3 in stolen bases. So if he believes Grossman can make some contact, not a bad time to send him here.
Three balls and a strike. That's ball 4. It was in the zone. He didn't get the call. 2 on, nobody out. And here's the answer. Let's see if it is indeed John Castino, who drove in 3 in your 15th win in 1980. Is it? No. Sorry.
Ron Jackson.
We feel for you. We know you'll beat yourself up.
I know.
In
all
between
winter.
games.
It's going to be terrible.
So with 2 on, nobody out, Don Cooper out to the mound to talk to Lopez.
And Mark Wegner is going to come out to break this up. He stayed at the plate the last visit by the infield. Now he comes out to break it up. And we're back to baseball as Ronaldo in a jam. 2 on, nobody out here in the 6th.
Self-created jam here in the 6th. 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and Austin would take some big hacks up there. Has driven in the only run so far for Minnesota.
Surprisingly, Austin's only grounded into 3 double plays and close to 240 at bats.
He takes ball 1. Fourth start of the year for Reynaldo Lopez against Minnesota. This now the 3rd time through the order in that 4th start. That's ball 2. So Lopez, start by start against Minnesota, earned runs allowed, 4 in the first one, 4 in the 3rd, and now 1 today. But a 6th inning that's teetering on the brink of a Minnesota lead right now. The sunlit Cave and a shadowy Grossman. On 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. Austin fairly consistent in hitting the ball wherever. Cave at second, Grossman at first. Three-one. Ball 4 again, very close, didn't get the call once more, and the bases are loaded with nobody out in the Minnesota 6th.
Very tough to get the call if you're everywhere with every pitch in the entire at bat and then throw one that's close. This one could have gone either way, but he had been so far out of the zone with 3 pitches that he didn't get the call, and now Juan Minaya loosening up. Bases loaded, nobody out. 3 walks here in the 6th.
Brings up Kepler, who's got 2 air outs under his belt today. German-born right fielder for Minnesota. Lopez lofts in strike 1. A strikeout would be huge here. High in the air on the infield. This will be out number 1. Bases still loaded. Astudillo coming up, and a major contact hitter who could provide you a double play.
That was a big pitch. Off-speed breaking ball. He got it in the zone for the 2nd time in the at-bat. Kepler hit it straight up in the air, and now a double play ground ball gets you out of the inning, and you get a guy who's grounded into 4 of them in 86 at bats.
The rare walk in the 4th, a fly out to left in the 2nd on the first pitch he saw. So 2 totally different trips to the plate. Astudillo swings at the first one here and lofts it to center. Angles underneath to make the catch. Cave tags. Throw hits the mound, and Minnesota takes the lead.
I've said it a lot of times on the air that the center fielder has the most difficult throw, and that is because of the pitcher's mound. So you have a choice. You can either airmail the mound, in which case you're going to throw it on the grass and one hop the plate, or throw it entirely there, because if you do this, this is what will happen. Hits the back of the mound and bounces straight up in the air, and then can't get anybody out like that. So the run scores, turns out to be the go-ahead run, and that's why that throw from center field, by far the most difficult for any of the outfielders, and another run batted in, the 20th for Astudillo.
A-Ray Adrianza with 2 down, 1 in, and 2 on. Foul, strike 1. Game 2, 7-10 tonight. Lucas Giolito on the mound for the Sox. He will face Chase DeYoung, the right-hander for Minnesota.
You're going to find in DeYoung somebody like Tomlin of the Indians, in that throws a lot of strikes, not overwhelming with the fastball. He's around the plate a lot. Love to see how the boys adjust to that. And looking for a good outing from Lucas Giolito, trying to win his 11th game. This becomes a huge out. You got a 1-run deficit. You can ill afford much more the way Barrios is throwing.
Angle in center, back on it to make the catch. 3 straight walks and only 1 run for Minnesota in the inning. 2-1 after 6.
only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Reynaldo Lopez pitched well over 3 straight walks in the 6th. It is a blanket and hat day here at Target Field, that's for sure. So Lopez trailing 2-1. His catcher Wellington Castillo at the plate, and Jose Barrios misses with ball 1. 7, 8, and 9 coming up in the Sox 7th inning. One and one.
Time now for Toyota Going Places, and Wellington Castillo, the last homestand, swung it pretty well. 6 for 15, a double, 3 runs scored. Getting his opportunity now to try to resurrect from this season, which was a tough one, all he can, getting a chance to play late and trying to make the most of it heading into next year.
Castillo signed for next season, so we expect that he'll be a part of the White Sox, but you never know what the offseason will bring for anybody. Time called. Barrios tinkering with a sidearm delivery. Only in jest. They call him La Máquina, meaning the machine.
That first game we faced him here, he looked like a machine. Just about everything was in the zone, and it was all unhittable.
That was the type of breaking ball we saw in the first game. However, it started at the middle of the plate and ended up in the left-handed batter's box. 2-2. That type of breaking ball, but it missed. Earned runs by start against the Sox this year, 0 in that first one you're talking about. Then the Sox got to him May 4th. Since then, only 4 runs, not including today's one. He is not happy with himself. Ball 1 turned into ball 2, and ball 3 and ball 4. So it's a leadoff walk for Castillo. And Anderson will bat here in the 7th.
Putting the leadoff man on via a base on balls in a 1-run game late is never a recipe for victory. So now, with the visibility starting to get a bit better, a chance to break through.
Or not. Polanco and Petit and Austin.
Got the first ball fastball, and unfortunately a routine 6-4-3. Very easy play.
Wellington Castillo went into his water slide. 2 hands on the head to be more aerodynamic, evidently.
Yeah, you're just hoping that that guy has enough time to come across, sees that you're getting down in plenty of time, and doesn't decide to throw one that hits you in the forehead. Occasionally, that'll happen when the ball gets away from the pivot man. Left-hander Taylor Rogers throwing in the pen. Pitch number 103 on the way.
It's strike 2 for Engel, who's popped out and struck out.
I think the best plan for Paul Molitor here is let Barrios get through the inning and take him out of the game.
You're saying that to try to get him out of the game?
Yeah, I think that a good long rest till next spring training would be in line for him after this splendid outing.
What about a restriction for him next year where he only faces out of division teams?
The way it's gone this year, it might not be a bad idea. 6-1 lifetime against our Sox.
save him for the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Astros.
Now, I'm in favor of Paul Molitor pitching him against Detroit and Kansas City and Cleveland as much as he wants. Just throw him out there against those teams.
Right-hand side, Petit. There is something to that I want to ask you about in terms of stacking your rotation. So we'll do that when we come back. 2-1 Minnesota.
Strikeouts. Get very good stuff today. Control a bit of an issue with 5 walks, but he held them to just 2 runs. And a good solid day for Ronaldo Lopez. Will not get the win today. He will depart, but he threw the ball very well. We get a new pitcher in the ball game, and it is Juan Minaya. Comes into this trying to preserve the 2-1 deficit. On for the 51st time. He's 2-2. His ERA has dropped to 3.40. Opponent's hitting just 2.22. He's had a very good second part of this year after discovering or rediscovering his control. And he's been throwing it probably as well, probably better than most of anybody out of that bullpen.
And his confidence too. I mean, early in the season, he couldn't find a strike, and suddenly now he's one of the most reliable members of the White Sox bullpen. So he'll face Gregorio Petit first after 6 innings for Lopez. And Petit to right center for out number 1. So what I was going to say was, we saw at the end of this year the Cardinals, for example, lined up Jack Flaherty for their most important games, their toughest opponents. And I know pitchers do like to work on a routine. However, what says a team with a schedule built in a certain way? At the beginning of the season, you look at your schedule and you say, well, I want this guy to face as many top shelf opponents as possible. What says you couldn't tinker with the amount of rest in order to get the most good opponents for your best pitchers?
Well, the problem is that when you try to accommodate one of your top of the line starters, you have to wind up taking 2 or 3 of them and pitching them out of sequence quite a bit to get that one guy to the point where you want him to start. And I think it's fine later in the year. I mean, if you got a couple of big games that you want to stack later on, that's fine. But I think in the meantime, going in rotation for these starters, if they are indeed going to be starting pitchers for you, going in rotation is what's going to make them and give them the consistency they need to win a lot of games and keep you in most games. I don't see a problem with stacking your rotation to get your better pitchers against an opponent you want to get if you're talking about a couple of starts at the end of the year.
What about in the middle of the year? Because there's the same value to a game against the Indians today as there was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's the detriment to the rotation I would be worried about more than the one guy you're trying to get that start for. And I think that part of it's good if you want to beat them in a situation you feel is critical. I just don't think there's many critical games in June or July. And I don't want to do anything to my rotation to get anybody out of order and risk a potential injury, because this guy is in your rotation because he's better than anybody else at the time.
Sure.
And so if you have to make an adjustment, you're going to have to bring in a lesser starter into that role. That in the long run doesn't do the team quite as much good as that one victory against that particular team you want to beat would facilitate in tinkering with the rotation.
I agree with you almost completely. The one thing I would challenge is you don't know what game is going to be a critical one. You're not sure about that. You think that, okay, you know, end of the year we really need to have this one, but you wouldn't need that game as badly. The Dodgers right now would love to have any one game that they should have won that they didn't win, and they'd be in a dead heat with Colorado right now.
Well, the only thing that you would be assuming is that that guy that you lined up for that start is going to win that start.
Is going to win, right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're assuming, and you're risking a whole lot to get that one win. And I agree with you. I mean, when you're looking back, you're at a point now. I mean, the Dodgers are looking back. They're one game in back, and you're in the last weekend of the season. You're thinking, boy, one game anywhere would have looked awfully good right now. You just don't know what you'd done to your pitching staff to get that game.
Yeah, who knows what value you'd lose. Certainly, as there's strike three called. Minaya paints Mauer. Joe didn't like it. 2 down. Now, what we were just talking about pops up a little bit more as you see strike 3 to Mauer. That was there.
No, that's a good pitch. I mean, Joe didn't like it, but that was a good pitch. There are some pitches, and look, Mark Wegner has had a very pitcher-friendly strike zone. Don't know if it's first game of a doubleheader. Don't know if it's the last weekend with 2 teams out of contention. Whatever the case, this has been a pitcher's plate. So you get a lot of strikeouts on both teams. You get both pitchers dominating as they did today, and it's just the luck of the draw.
Jack Swingy went strike 1. What I was going to say was, with the added off days starting this year in the Major League Baseball season, you start earlier in March. If you find just luck of the draw, you find a pocket of, say, 8 games with off days bookending those 8 games. You could veritably stack your rotation in small pockets like that. You could look for small windows where you could affect your rotation and get an extra look or 2 against a first place team or a team you're vying.
The only time that I would think that would be a good thing would be going into the All-Star break, where you have all kinds of days to then reassemble your starting rotation after using it in a different way. That's the way that I would think, okay, this is fine, do what you need to do, because you're going to restack it anyway after the 4 games off.
But you could see a team like Tampa Bay, hypothetically, that likes to tinker with things like this, looking at that as a possible place you could add value.
The problem is they got one legitimate starter and a bunch of
well,
openers.
they hope to have more.
You know, they have one guy
coming season.
They'll just throw Snell every game.
That was not the intent.
We'll pitch you 6 games straight and then wheel in the guys around you. Yarborough will win 40 games this year.
Ryan Stanek, 55 victories. Fouled away by Polanco. 2-1 Minnesota, 7th inning. Game 1 of the doubleheader. Game 2 comes 7:10 p.m. tonight. The sun won't be out, and it'll be snowman time.
It's going to be a good time to pitch if you can get loose.
Problem with that is the if.
Well, I think pitchers have an easier time in cold weather. I mean, a lot of pitchers don't like it, but it's a lot easier for pitchers once they get loose than it is for hitters, because you're always looking at those inside pitches thinking, I don't know if I really want to go after this one. That's not going to make my day to have my hand singing to me 5 hours from now.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Polanco, who's just 2 for 15 against the Sox this year.
Gabe in the on deck circle. If Polanco can keep it alive.
Juan Minaya sees this one fly to right field. Avi staggers back on it for out number 3. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Minaya. First man out of the pen of the doubleheader does his job. 2-1 to the 8th.
So Barrios is out of there, which is a good thing. 7 innings, 1 run on 3 hits, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts. As Rogers on for the 71st time. He's been very good. ERA of 2.73.
First pitch, strike 1. Rogers in his career has been really good. For his 3 years in the majors, a 3.25 ERA in 196 games. Former Kentucky Wildcat Taylor Rogers.
I don't know if the Twins want to do this because he's so effective out of their pen. I always thought he'd be a pretty good starter. He's got a good curveball. He's got nice control. And he doesn't depend on that huge fastball to take you down. So if he's going to throw 92, 93 and come up with any kind of off-speed pitch like a straight change to go with that good curveball and fastball, he should be in good shape.
Lightly hit in the air on the infield for out number 1. MLB at Bat is your #1 White Sox app. Customize your experience to get White Sox home screen icons and features like the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. Taylor Rogers, all the way back in 2015, but just 3 years ago, 33 starts in the minors. He was a starter, as many are, coming up through minor league baseball, then converted to the relief position, but he had some very nice numbers as a AAA starter. 384.
Right now what the Twins have to ask themselves is, can they replace him out of that pen?
Line drive to Polanco. Garcia's out, 2 away.
Here he hit that ball awfully hard. Nothing to show for it. Caleb Frere loosening in the Sox pen.
Well, Jake Cave is first up in the 8th, so it might be a mix and match 8th inning for Ricky Renteria. Oh, and 1. Sox got a run in the 3rd, matching Minnesota's 1st inning run. Then a sac fly in the 6th gave the Twins their current lead. Right field, Kepler back at the warning track in the wall, and that one clangs off the wall, and Avi is safe at 1st, and that's all.
I think Avi thought that was going out of the ballpark, and it came an eyelash from it. It hit off the limestone just in front of the flower bed and didn't miss by much. This probably came 2 feet from being a tie game as Avi lifts this ball to right field. He believes it's going out. It's not. Nice play by Kepler as he smothers the ball on the carom back off the limestone.
Avi's mad that it didn't carry. You see how strong he is on a ball that was hit to the moon. Oh, 1. Now 0-2. Avi really thought that was a home run and ends up at 1st, so we'll see what Palka can do. And it's strike 3. So Rogers quickly recovers and the inning comes to an end. Bottom 8, 2-1 score.
Astudillo comes up, doesn't hit it all that far, but hits it far enough. The ball hits the mound and the go-ahead run scores. Visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Caleb Frere comes in the ball game and he's got a task of holding him right there. Could very well be he's only on for 1 hitter. On for the 11th time. 0-1, 6-point ERA. And Jake Cave, the opposition.
Cave against lefties is 12 for 63. That's a 190 average, on base below 250. So Frere will face at least Cave. Juan Minaya, 1 inning, 1 strikeout. And strike 1 from Frere. Robbie Grossman, who's next, is a much better hitter from the right-hand side than he is the left-hand side. On base plus slugging, 200 points up against lefty pitchers. Oh, 2. Spiked. With all that said about the numbers regarding Grossman, this may be an inning where the Sox say, I wonder if Caleb Frere can get us a full inning, and let him just go out there and see what he can do.
It's probably the time of year to try that.
He struck him out. 1 gone. Hey, Sox fans, with each run driven home this season, Uber has made a generous donation to Chicago White Sox charities. Uber, the official rideshare provider of the Chicago White Sox and proud supporter of Chicago White Sox charities. Use Uber code GOSOX18 for $15 off your first Uber ride. Frere does face Grossman. Ball 1. Sox in the 9th. We'll have Davidson, Narvaez, and Castillo scheduled against the Minnesota bullpen.
Hildenberger has been their closer, depending on how much use he's gotten lately. Over 20,000 here, but that includes those who were here for the original rainout or bought tickets for the original rainout or snow out, only to be replayed today.
Hildenberger threw 22 pitches on Tuesday, 23 on Saturday, as Ryan Cordell has checked into right field. So Avi Garcia comes out after the single, the long single in the top of the 8th inning. Into left center, a base hit for Grossman.
IDOT reminds you that safe driving habits really are a matter of life and death. And here is the IDOT safe play. There's the play, and he hits it safely. Visit lifeordeathillinois.com. That's a perfect day for Grossman. 2 walks, 2 singles.
After coming in 3 for 33 against the Sox this year. He's had a very nice September, though, to close out in 2018. Grossman has. Breaks it inside, 1-1. Got the left-hander Kepler next for Minnesota. Twins don't have an RBI hit in this game. It was an RBI ground out in the 1st and a sacrifice fly in the 6th to score their 2 runs. Two and 2 on Austin. A couple of former Yankee farmhands here, Tyler Austin and Caleb Frere. 2-2.
Good fastball in on his hands. He was able to spoil it and foul it off.
2-2 again. He flinched, didn't swing. 3-2. So Austin has run 3 3-ball counts in his last 3 times up.
Trevor May loosening in the pen.
Grossman at first holds, and the pitch fouled away again. So Austin will see an 8th pitch.
Sox pen up and going. It is Jose Ruiz.
Go to first, and Grossman returns. Full count for Austin. Another foul ball.
Ninth pitch of the at bat.
Another payoff. He struck him out. Frere gets rid of Austin. 2 away.
Went to a good slider down and in, and he swung over the top of it. So after a prolonged battle, Caleb Frere wins the battle by going with that slider.
Really nice pitch there.
Yeah, perfect pitch after spoiling all those fastballs.
2 out for Kepler with Grossman at first. And a foul, strike 1. Kepler a .250 average this year against left-handers after .204 his first 3 seasons with the Twins. On base was only .273. In the air, right center. That's a long way to go for Engel, but he is there, and he makes the catch to retire the side. So 4 air outs for Kepler. Sox are down a run. Davidson, Narvaez, Castillo coming up.
ready to put together a rally after a leadoff walk, but Tim Anderson with a routine 6-4-3 and out of the inning. When you think garages, think Danley's.
Sox are down a run as Matt Davidson faces Taylor Rogers, who is on for, you'd imagine, at least 2 batters, with the lefty Narvaez next. Left side, Adrianza.
Well, that was a rocket. Just barely to Adrianza's left, and he made the play. This ball is crushed. Unfortunately, A-Ray right there.
The one away for Omar.
Kevin Smith comes on to pinch hit.
Kevin will be in for Omar, and now Paul Molitor is going to go out and in kind make the change as well. So 1 out. Taylor Rogers goes an inning and a third, and we'll step aside with the Sox trailing by a run.
That has been it. So on for the 23rd time. He's had a nice year. He's 4-1 ERA, 342, 1-for-1 in save opportunities, 233 batting average against, a whip of 110, which is outstanding. He's got 2 outs to get and nobody on base.
It would be just his 2nd career save. That first one this year was his only one before today started. So Kevin Smith takes a strike. And May, who's only allowed 1 hit on his curveball this year, throws it for that opening strike. One and one from May. Astudillo tried to help him. 2-1. Two balls, 2 strikes. Sox and Twins will play game 2 of this doubleheader at 7:10 with Giolito against DeYoung, the pitching matchup. Way outside. Crowd reacted. They were evidently looking the other direction.
Well, they might have wanted it. It was a good 6 inches outside, but it's a good thought. Not for Kevin, but a good thought. Here's the hook. Let's see if he can get it over the plate.
3-2. There it was for strike 3. 11th strikeout for Twins pitching in the game, and one last out to play with for the Sox.
There is the hook. It's tantalizing. It's out of the zone, but Kevin identified strike, went after it, and it disappeared.
2 out, nobody on for Wellington Castillo. Tying run still at the plate. Low scoring doubleheader opener. Strike 1. One and 2. That may be the best pitch he sees.
Well, he was obviously looking for the hook because it took a fastball, was on the outer third, and had the whole plate.
One ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2. Castillo strikes out and the game's over. May saves it for Barrios.
2/3, 2 strikeouts. Doesn't get much better than that for a man they're thinking about giving the opportunity to close next year. Depends on what happens in spring training, but May threw it very well.
So the pitchers duel goes the way of Minnesota. Lopez gave up 2, Barrios 1. Minnesota a winner in the opener, victory number 75, and we will wrap it up when we come back to Target Field.